Have you ever been in this situation before wherein you were like, I remember this word, I've encountered it before, but you just can't pull it out of your head? Don't worry, it's completely normal. In fact, you should do it a lot. Hi, I'm a Japanese language learner, and I've been forced to it because I kind of live in Japan and I use it for work. And this happens to me a lot. I'm like, hey, I know the English word, but I can't recall what's it in Japanese. And I'm like, why can't I pull it out of my head? It happens. Only recently did I found out that it was completely natural and it's a part of the process of natural language acquisition. It's called your passive vocabulary. These words that you only recognize when you encounter them, when you hear it, but you can't just yet pull it out of your head on your own and use it as an output. They are your passive vocabulary. There's somewhere in your head that is just being developed by the brain. Eventually, they will become active. Don't worry. So what's an active vocabulary? An active vocabulary is the dream vocabulary of the language learners. It is the one that you can play with in speech, in writing, and when you recognize it when you hear it. Sometimes you still don't. Yeah, it happens. But it's the one you can use actually in speech. You know how to use them, you know the variations of their conjugations. It's your active vocabulary. But we have a passive vocabulary. In fact, it's the first stage ideally, before a word becomes active, it has to be passive first. In the natural process of language acquisition, your passive vocabulary is expected to be greater than your active vocabulary. And this is okay. It's natural. It's the funnel that increases your second brain or your second language brain or whatever. So increasing this passive vocabulary is a great idea. It means that you are comprehending more and more of the language. In language acquisition, we want to be comprehending first before we can actually speak. It is not popular with popular teaching methods wherein you are forced to speak right away. I was instructed this way as well, but it always ends up that I may be able to say something, but I never understand what is being said to me. That always happens at first. And this is not natural in the language acquisition process. The ideal and natural order of language acquisition is to comprehend first before speaking. So even if you're in the advanced or you're in the intermediate or a beginner, comprehension is ideally your first target. Understanding what everyone is saying. And in this, you don't need your active vocabulary yet. You just need your passive vocabulary. And idea is increase your passive vocabulary. It's probably easier to increase your passive vocabulary than your active vocabulary. And it makes the language acquisition process so much easier, so much more natural, and so much more efficient. So increase your passive vocabulary. And in increasing your passive vocabulary, you increase your comprehension. You get to understand what the natives talk about more and more and more. You understand the content, what you're reading. You understand words that you encounter just randomly on the streets if you're in Japan, or in the material that you're studying. So if you agree that comprehension should be ahead of speaking, you don't mind that your passive vocabulary increases more than your active vocabulary. Anyway, passive vocabulary transitions to active vocabulary. That's the way it goes. The more and more you expose your passive vocabulary, the more you are able to use them to speech. It's the natural process. So don't hurry it up. Just focus on comprehension. When you increase your comprehension, you are building up your confidence in the language. Are we good? So don't worry about it when you forget how to use a word. It's natural. Repetition is important in language learning. Just keep inputting them, keep reminding yourself what they mean, and they'll be able to be useful to you. So, how do you increase your passive vocabulary? Through a lot of input of content, of materials in your target language. This is the same with Japanese. So, let's increase our input. Let's listen to more Japanese content, expose ourselves more to the language. I hope it will be fluent in no time. Okay, and this is my video about how to choose the input for more effective absorption of the language. Check it out. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!